Hey y'all, I'm back and I have more Glitch in the Matrix stories that I'm so excited to read. These are my favorite types of stories, like of all time. I think they're crazy and so unexplainable. Like, I'm always like, let's hop right in, shall we? Every night I go to bed about 2 hours before my husband. I always wake up when he comes into the room. One night he was gaming with a friend and it was hours later I heard him sneak into the room and crawl across the floor so he could pop up and scare me. I felt the floor kind of shake and felt him bump clumsily against the side of the bed in the dark. I held out my hand and asked him not to scare me. I was already scared enough and had begged him to just take my hand and come to bed. I couldn't see anything in the room, but knew he was there and just waited for him to jump up so I could move on and go back to sleep. That's when I heard him talking to his friend in the other room. I was frozen. I know there's sleep paralysis or lucid dreaming or something that explains this, but I would have sworn on my son's life that somebody had crawled across the floor and jostled the bed. Girl, I'm like, that's not a glitch, that's paranormal or something. Oh my gosh, that's not even the end. Eventually, I worked out of the fear enough to grab my phone and text my husband to come in and turn on the lights and check under the bed. But holy shit, it boggles me how real it felt. No, why would I also be like, can you check for monsters? I was on vacation in Florida visiting a friend. We were walking on the beach on a perfectly sunny day when everything went black for a second. I think it's weird, but I explained it away thinking that my eyes were playing tricks on me until he looked at me and said, "Did everything go black for a second?" I don't like that you both experienced it. I'm not a fan. About 2 years ago, I went to collect my husband from the ferry after work. My husband got into the car, and as I was driving very slowly out of the car park, we both noticed two people standing a few meters in front of our car. It looked as though they were strangers, older-looking professionals, both walking to their separate cars in different areas of the car park. The man was reaching into his side bag, and the lady was further ahead than the man with her head turned to the right. I know the exact positions they were in because they were completely frozen on the spot. My husband and I sat there watching the frozen strangers, not saying anything to each other, and then all of a sudden it was like someone pressed play and the two strangers just continued on like nothing had happened. My husband and I promised to each other that we would never forget how weird the experience was. I can't remember exactly how long they stayed frozen like that, but it was long enough to freak us both out. I've seen like TikToks of that kind of shit, and I don't like it. I met someone who no longer seems to exist. In October 2018, I developed tendinitis in my hand, so I went to see a hand specialist at my regular hospital. I remember the hand specialist really clearly. She was a really happy, talkative Vietnamese woman with straight, dark brown hair and glasses. She had a German-sounding last name, which I assumed was her married name. She was really nice, and we had a long conversation about a medical conference that she goes to. She explained that my hand issue, caused by phone usage, was the hot topic of the conference and that she'd probably use my injury as an example when she goes there. Anyway, she gave me care instructions and sent me home. I was told to return if it didn't resolve in a few weeks because then I would need to be re-examined and sent to physical therapy. It didn't resolve and I went back. I had an appointment with the same doctor, but the woman who came into the room was completely different. She was a white woman with light brown hair, no glasses, completely different face shape, really dull and unwelcoming disposition. I was so fucking confused. I asked her name, she gave me the same name as the Asian doctor had. I asked if there was another doctor by that name and she told me no, it was only her. I described the doctor I had seen and she got annoyed and said she didn't know who I was talking about. I later went online to the hospital staff directory and tried to find her. I couldn't. I have no idea what happened to her. I even checked my medical records to see if maybe I remembered her name incorrectly, but I didn't. Both of my visits have the same doctor's name on them. I've always been confused about this, and it really bothers me that I met someone who doesn't seem to exist anymore. No, because the way I would have like an existential crisis if that happened to me, I don't even think I know what that means, but hopefully that makes sense. 1985. My ex-wife and I were sleeping. There was a small sliver of light coming in through the window from a street light, so the room and bed were dimly visible. Our black Pomeranian was at the end of the bed, asleep. I dreamt that I woke up, reached down to pet him, and he turned into a glossy black oyster thing, which opened up to reveal rows of gleaming glass teeth. I woke up to my ex backpedaling up the bed over the pillows towards the wall. I asked what's wrong. She said, "What is that shiny black clam thing with teeth at the end of the bed? Where's the dog?" We had the same nightmare at the same time, and that still gives me chills. That's weird, and I really thought the dog turned into a clam. And then this one just says, a total of 3 times in my life I've had memories of seeing movies or movie trailers that hadn't been made yet. It's not even a feeling of deja vu. It's a very clear, vivid memory of seeing the movie before. That's weird. Apparently that's all that was in that article, so I'm gonna go try to find more. I found more. I'm not sure if this is a glitch or some kind of horror story, but it remains a mystery to me until this day. This moment happened a few years ago. Me and my sister shared a bedroom. I sleep on a bed that was put closely to a wall, and she slept on a mattress on the floor beside my bed. At the time, she liked to hang out with her friends, and almost every day will come home after midnight or sometimes have a sleepover at her friend's house. Our bedroom lock is broken, so sometimes it can get stuck if we close the door and we cannot open it from the outside, unless we use a key. One day, I went to sleep before my sister came home, but I made sure to open the door a bit so the door wouldn't lock. I like to sleep while my face is facing the wall. The first knock. After a deep sleep, suddenly I wake up as I hear someone knocking on the door. I was too sleepy to get up, so I just turned my head to see if my sister's already home, and I see her asleep on the floor, but her face is facing the other side, so I just see her back. Then I turn over, put my head back to the wall while talking to her. Hey, go open the door and see who that is. I assume at the time it was my mother to check whether my sister's home. After that, I go back to sleep without checking if she's here or not. The second knock. I'm not sure how many hours or minutes went by after I fell asleep the second time, but suddenly I hear someone knocking on the door again. At the time, I'm quite pissed off because my sleep is being disturbed by the knocking, so I said, "Who is that? Go and open the door," while turning over again to my sister, but she's not there. Because I was confused, I instantly get up and go check the bathroom that was attached inside our room, but she's not in there. I go open the door and there she is, standing in front of me. I ask in confusion, "I thought you were already home," but she looked at me with a weird face and said, "No, I just got home." After that, she went to sleep and left me so confused. Until today, it gives me the creeps to think about who was sleeping with me at the first knock. I don't like this one. I really hate that because the knocking twice is like why would it happen twice basically if she wasn't there? You know what I mean? Like if she was already there, she wouldn't knock again. You know what I mean? I'm like trying to I can't wrap my head around it. We're moving on. I'm so, ugh. This person gave 2. So the first one was in December 2011. I was attending mass with my family when I see someone walk into the church. He was astonishingly beautiful, but what caught my attention was that he looked exactly like one of the characters in a story I'd been working on. I was in shock throughout the whole mass, but it got weird when we got up to receive the, I don't know what that word is, Eucharist? We passed by where he sat and I turned to look at him and noticed 2 things. He had glowing blue eyes, wasn't because of the lighting or contacts. Trust me, I've looked for contacts that could create that glow, and he looked shocked to see me. His eyes and mouth were wide like he was shocked, maybe scared. Then as we go back to our seats, I notice him speed walking out of the church. I've never seen anyone react to me like that before. I apparently have lookalikes in the extreme running around, but everyone else that interacted with them were on positive terms. And something tells me it's me, not them. That's weird as fuck. What if he's like, "I'm from your story. You're not supposed to be here." Second one was more like a glitch of everything. For several weeks, my entire family had experiences ranging from, "Yeah, okay, that was a little weird," to "What the fuck?" We would hear people call our names and even feel events that happened years ago. One time I was folding clothes and I heard a giggle. Little girl in dress shoes comes down the stairs. Somehow I knew that she was me. Me when I was very young and on my way to an event. She came down the stairs, then pranced into the living room. It was strange because I couldn't see her, but I could hear her and somehow sense this area of space that she was occupying, but at the same time not. She went right past me and it was so strange because I felt like I should have been able to reach out and grab her, but I couldn't. I have no idea how, but I'm 99% convinced that the time dimension was somehow broken for a while and allowing 2 different years to exist. Same space, but different times. That's really freaky. And I wouldn't want to see my little self ever. Okay, let's read a couple more. I was the only one in the store and a car pulled up to one of the 2 double-sided pumps out front. Pretty standard white 4-door. I'm not great with car brands, but it was a little nicer, like upper middle class and probably only a few years old. A woman gets out and starts walking towards our door like she's in a daze. Legit, this woman looked like she just saw a ghost. She wanders up, sort of freezes at the door for a second with a 1,000-yard stare before opening it and coming in. She didn't go looking for anything, didn't start shopping, just sort of stood inside for what felt like ages. Again, bars are still open, so I think maybe she's a little drunk or had a rough night or something, so I give the usual, "Welcome to gas station, let me know if you need help finding anything." And she finally notices me and immediately asks me the weirdest damn question I have ever been asked on the job. "You can see me, right?" "Yeah? Like, what else do you say?" She breaks down crying in the middle of my store, so I'm already headed around the corner to see what's up. I have my cell phone out in case I need to call the cops or something for her. I get her to sit down on a nearby pallet of soda, and I'm grabbing her a bottle of water, and after she catches her breath a little, she tells me, "I thought I had died." Again, I'm thinking maybe she's on something, but she's a middle-aged woman who looks like a standard local suburban housewife. We're a pretty boring township without your average junkies like you'd find closer to the cities. She asks if she can call her husband to pick her up and wait with me. She has her own phone and does so, not really telling him anything either, just where she is and if he can come get her. He says he'll call an Uber and be there as soon as possible. I'm sorry if my husband didn't come get me when I'm in distress and called me an Uber. Divorce. We're waiting. So far, nobody else has showed up, so I'm keeping most of my attention on her, and eventually she starts to explain to me. I was driving home from dinner with my coworkers, and as I'm driving through a nearby intersection, a truck ran a red light and hit me. Now, her car is still at the pump without a scratch on it. She goes on to say she remembers her car being pushed into a pole, going airborne, and then nothing. I tried to calm her down, letting her know that her car is out front and it looks fine, but she insisted that she completely blacked out, woke up in an ambulance for a split second, passed out again, and then woke up again in the driver's seat of the car at the intersection waiting for the light to change perfectly fine. The whole thing freaked her out so badly that she drove to the nearest anything, us, so she could get out of the car. Oh my God. Husband eventually showed up to get her. Thank God. He asked if I had any idea what happened, and even though she sort of explained to me, I just shrugged no, because I don't know what was happening anymore. She reluctantly got into the passenger seat of the car and he drove them back home. That was hours ago, after which I worked an entire shift at the station trying to wrap my head around what the absolute hell I had just witnessed. Thank God you listened to her and consoled her, because if I was her dude, I feel like anybody would need that, because that's terrifying. So I was walking in the hallway towards the downstairs bathroom when I passed by the living room and I stopped in my tracks. I saw myself sitting in the ornate red and black sofa, holding my right knee with my left leg dangling. I was wearing the same clothes as my twin on the sofa, a baggy white knit turtleneck and gray patterned pants. I blinked and she was still there on the sofa. I took a deep breath, closed my eyes, and counted to 10. When I opened them, she was gone. I don't think I ever made it to the bathroom that night. I would never go to the bathroom again. I would move out of the house, it's haunted, and I'm the dead person. I don't know how, but I am. In 1992, I was driving home at 1 a.m., and I pulled up for a red light at a T-junction surrounded by buildings. The light swiftly went green, but just before I could take my foot off the brake pedal, I heard a voice out of nowhere. Not like my voice, I've not heard it before or since. It just said, "Don't go." Now, I could only see darkness on the road in front of me, and I don't believe in any gods, so I thought, no, I'll go ahead. I put my foot on the accelerator, and just as I was moving into the intersection, 3 cars with their headlights off sped across the road in front of me. I swerved and missed all of them, but if I hadn't hesitated for a couple of seconds because of the voice, they would have all slammed into the side of my car. I have no idea where the voice came from. All I know is that I couldn't see the cars approaching, and the voice wasn't my internal monologue. I still don't believe in any gods, but if anything defines a glitch within the Matrix, I think that's it. Outside influence. That's nuts. Because what? When I was 17, I was riding my bike to my friend's house. This was a trip I made very often, only taking me 15 minutes even though I rode from one neighborhood to the next. I measured every bike ride by song, so I would make a note of the song I left on and also the song I arrived and add up the times to each song. I always called her before I left home as I walked out the backyard gate with the bike, and I left at 3:10 p.m. I was passing by an undeveloped section in her neighborhood, meaning I only had about 3 more minutes. I suddenly felt dizzy, so I hopped off my bike to get off the road and drink some water. Pause my music while doing this. I get out my phone to text her that I had to stop, and then I get back on my way. When I pull into her driveway, I hear her and her mom, as well as my foster mom and foster sister shouting my name from down the street, around where I stopped to drink. I yell down at them, and they all run back to the house and ask me where I've been. Why didn't I call? I opened my text saying that I stopped and would be there soon, and while the text said I sent it at 3:22 p.m., my clock showed it was now 6:30 p.m. After everyone settled down and my fosters went back home, I stayed at my friend's and we studied. I added up all the songs I listened to, and it only added up to about 15 minutes. Somehow I lost 3 hours. Those are the ones that I'm like, what happened to you? You had to have passed out or something. Where did the time go? Okay, I think this is the last one I'm gonna read. This one's weird. This isn't my story, but rather my dad and his friend. I'll call him Jordan. This happened before I was born. At midnight, they were driving around West Philadelphia and stopped at a McDonald's. Jordan purchased a Coke and brought it with him into the car. As they were pulling out of the McDonald's, the entire Coke spilled all over the floor. They both became concerned that the car floor was wet, so they got up to investigate. The floor was completely dry, and there was no ice. After all these years, he never actually found the cup. Who knows what caused a Coke to disappear right in front of their eyes? I just can't. I'm like, what happened? Where did it go? No, because these stories are just so insane to me, and every single time I read them, I'm like, I'm like losing my mind. And so is everyone else apparently. But that's all I have for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any Glitch in the Matrix stories you want to share with me or the community, I will have my subreddit linked down below. Unfortunately, I don't have any rambling to do at the end of this because my life has been dedicated to crafting and that's about it. And I showed you guys some of my stuff in like a couple videos, like my last video and then a video from like last week or something. And I have nothing else to share with you because that's taking up 99% of my time. So I'm gonna go, but I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.